Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning. Laura Stylez, Rosenberg, and DJ Misbehaviour.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Why the question? I'm sure it's her.
Well, you're a DJ.
Yes.
How long?
Officially 89 I started taking it seriously, like this is something I could do and be in clubs and
Clubs.
yes. There were only clubs then.
Well, I saw a viral video of you ripping a party down.
Yeah.
That was like a week or two ago, right?
And this
2 weeks ago, yeah.
and where was this party?
This was the Museum of the City of New York, and they do a party called Uptown Bounce 4 Wednesdays in the summer. And Mobile Mondays, one of the crews that I play with.
Shout to Ems.
Shout to Ems.
Joey Carvello's
Yes,
still involved
hello.
in that too?
Yep, Joey Carvello, Just Blaze, Natasha Diggs, Money Mikes, Operator Ems, me, Misbehaviour, and then we have guests. And so we get bookings all around the summer, so we hooked that up, and someone was just filming me.
Well,
and-
I'm stereotyping here because obviously you don't look
No, I know.
like a DJ, which is
Right.
why I said DJ Misbehaviour, because I think that's part of why the video went viral,
Yeah.
because it was like, who's this lady?
Yeah.
She's a DJ?
And she's killing it.
Have you
And
got
she's ripping it.
on a regular basis though? Do you get that or no? I mean,
Yes, I get it all the time.
you still get
Yeah.
really. So people will come up to you and be like, "What do they say?"
Well, they just say you don't look like a DJ. I think also it depends. Partly it was that, and also the music I was playing, because the theme was 90s. And I was playing with Joey, and Joey, that hip hop's not his lane at all. So I knew where I would be going on that day. And people were already asking, is someone going to play hip hop? And I was kind of like, well, I started in 89, and all I played in the clubs in 89 was hip hop and R&B. So I was kind of like, it was a no-brainer. It wasn't like I know those songs.
Was
know
it
what
a
I mean?
novelty when in 1989, 90, 91, when you were new? Were people surprised then also?
Yeah, because there were hardly any. It was a novelty to be female rather than to be white, because those are the two things that people kind of, the stereotypical side of it. So, I mean, I think there was probably only about 6 female DJs in London total.
So how did you get your start?
I was just doing things for friends, because I always liked music and I had records, and, I did a friend's wedding and just fun like that. And then one day I was living in a place called Brighton, which is outside London, and it was very rave scene. And I had sort of just one record box at this point with like soul and funk in it. And I saw a little ad that said, we do this party and it's all soul and funk. So I just went down there and said, I DJ, can I DJ? And the DJ partner at the time, the resident guy there was really cool. Like, not all guys were cool then, but he embraced it. He helped me. And that's pretty much what I was doing, soul and funk. And I walked in and he played Gangstar Words I Manifest and EPMD, The Big Payback. And I was suddenly like, whoa. Because the funk, the relationship. So I was straight in, okay, I'm buying those records too. And it kind of started from there, really.
So at that point, you were more just into soul and funk, and that got you into hip hop.
Yes.
Was hearing records
because
like
hearing
that.
those two all records like that, yeah. And
Wow,
then
okay.
once that started and you go to the record stores,
Yeah, man.
and then the record stores, everything was slower, you'd go and you'd see a lot of the same records on the wall every week, and you'd spot a new one, and oh, what's that? It wasn't now like you got like 2,000 MP3s coming at you. It was a bit more smaller group of people making music. So
That's an interesting point that no one really talks about that often, is how when you went to a regular DJ store, whether it was Beat Street in New York or the store I went to, 12-inch in D.C.
Or Leopold's over in
wherever,
Yeah.
the
Amoeba.
wall of 12 inches. You're right. It would stay.
didn't move out.
It changed very gradually, like
well,
over
and if
a
it was
year.
a store you went to frequently,
Yes.
obviously you walked in and they're like, yo, here's the new heat. You got
Yeah,
it? And
yeah.
you're like, boom, give me
Yeah.
that. Let's ride. It was like they knew the DJs. They knew who was
Yeah.
coming in. You went to the same places and got your vinyl.
So how long was it before you got very serious about the DJing, and then how far did you go in the How far did you go in the UK as far as like how big did you get as a DJ?
Well, pretty big. I mean, we were doing this party, me and the partner at the time, and then I decided to move up to London because Brighton just didn't have enough of that kind of music. It was very rave, techno.
When you say rave, you're talking like dance, electronic
yeah, like
stuff.
techno, kind of what EDM. I mean, sort of techno, jungle, kind of, but these huge parties with thousands of people all doing that kind of vibe. And very small market, and you couldn't there wasn't really much on the radio, so you'd have to get people to tape shows like Tim Westwood or whatever, and literally post them to you, or I'd go up to London and buy records. So I decided to move to London because the market wasn't big enough, and I was doing something, just opening for someone at a party, and a guy called Brian Norman started a night called Fresh and Funky, which I know a lot of hip hop heads from here. It was the biggest Wednesday night party for that kind of music in the history of London. I mean, 700 people a week would go there. And pretty much everyone who came from the States who were visiting, if they were there on a Wednesday night, that's where they went. So he gave me, they didn't have an opener. So he said, could you open this week? And I said, yeah, sure. And then they were like, oh, we love you, just be the opener. And because the party was so hard to get into, there was already people lining up when I'd get there. So it wasn't like you were doing the opener and there was nobody in there. It was like they were ready to come in as I was walking in. So I got this, and then they were kind of like, you can't really play any big hits because we need to play them later. So I started listening to the albums and thinking, oh, I like that cut. And sometimes that would be the next single, so it kind of made me even ahead of them.
Right.
In a kind of, because it's suddenly like, oh, she's been rocking that for like months, and now
it's the single.
Then it's... So it kind of grew from there, and then I got other gigs from that. And but I listened to so much hip hop that I was kind of like, I want to know what the city, especially East Coast. I was drawn a lot to the East Coast, so I wanted to see what you'd hear names of streets and references. So I came out for the New Music Seminar in '94, which I think might have been the last one. And I volunteered for 2 weeks in one of the offices and got my badge and went to all the shows and everything. Probably one of the best shows I went to was Fugees, KRS-One, Das Effects, PMD, and Scratch in some teeny club, and KRS was headlining. So I just got kind of hooked, and I wanted to come back. It took me about 5 years to do that, and I never really intended to stay this long. It's just New York really sucks you in.
You came back in like '99 and never left.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to do that, but you spend a year, and then maybe a little something else is just over the horizon. You say another year and another year.
Right.
Before you know it, you kind of look
a New
back.
Yorker.
Yeah.
So you I mean, you're not out here doing DJ scratch competitions.
No,
you're just rocking
no.
parties. You know when to
yeah.
get in and out of records and which records to pick.
I like rocking parties, and I've never said, if you start saying I'm a hip hop DJ, then you have to have those elements.
Right,
and
people expect you to cut and scratch.
I rock parties. I've always started in the club scene in front of, even when I had no skills, I was playing in a club in front of people with a dance floor, and I couldn't mix or anything. But there weren't lounges then. I mean, if you were going to DJ, you're either on the radio in some way or you're in a club. There wasn't really any other kind of outlets. So I kind of learned, I learned to mix because the dance floor was going to be better if I did it.
Yeah.
That was the drive, I think. And I've always just been, I love playing all kind of music. So to me, it's just being a good party rocking person.
So,
and,
if we're going to if you don't mind, we're going to show you the DJ booth here at Hot 97, have you jump on and play some records, have some fun. What would you say, though, if someone said, we need Misbehaviour to DJ, and you could do whatever you want, it's open format, just give us your best, 20, 30-minute set. What kind of stuff are you playing? Like, what's your bread and butter, that stuff in your bag that you always go back to?
Always. I think it's where I go back to is I love reggae, too. Most people in England, we have a heavy reggae influence. So I love reggae. So I'd always have reggae. I'd always have the 90s hip hop classics because that's where I kind of started. And again, like soul funk. But I think it'd be a bit of everything because when I came here, I started playing in the roller skating party in Central Park. And I had to get my house game up because there's a lot of house heads in there. And if you have a day to yourself, it's not like you play with other people. So you take the whole day. So for me, I had to get that game up because, again, it's about the people in front of you. So again, I like that. I think, I like to bring a little bit of everything to play to people who are open to everything, as long as it's good music.
And when you play, do you still just play vinyl?
Not all the time.
Okay,
no.
okay. So you go back and forth with Serato.
I like sometimes when I get a Serato gig, I'm like, yay.
Oh, because you don't have to carry all of that.
Well, also because you hear a song you like, you can have it in 10 seconds.
Right.
Like, you don't have to go.
You think of something right then, you're like, ooh, it would work? Oh, I don't have it. Let me just go to the iTunes store and buy it. And now I play it. Right.
Whereas records, you got to be, let me call everyone. Or let me...
Like, we know a lot of DJs. Right. All of us in this room.
I would say so.
We know a lot of DJs. We know a lot of white DJs.
Yes.
And we know a lot of female DJs.
Yeah.
Misbehaviour, DJ Misbehavior's here today because Rosenberg was like, yo, we should have her up. And so I want to talk to you for a minute. This might be uncomfortable for you.
No.
Why did you want to have her up?
Well, I ran into Ems, who's a DJ, who's one of the guys behind Mobile Mondays, and he was like, hey, do you know Misbehaviour? And I was like, oh, I know her name, and I know she's supposed to be dope, but I don't really know her personally. So he was like, I think you'd think that her story's interesting.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, cool. And full disclosure, Ems is my man. So when he said it, I was like, I'm open to having people up if someone who I respect.
So you didn't just have her up because she's a white lady who DJs?
No, but although I think everyone knows that's part of the story that makes it interesting. Although, truth be told, and then secondarily, when I came in and brought it up, everyone's like, oh, she just had the viral video last week.
Because Cast One had brought in, he's like, Laura, check this out. You're going to love this. So he's showing me the video. I'm like, yo, she's killing it. And then we were all like looking at it in the studio.
But I'll tell you the truth about it. I don't know if this is where you're going or not. And I think this is probably the part that's uncomfortable. If there's anything that's uncomfortable, is that honestly, being a white DJ is not that interesting anymore. And being a female DJ is not that interesting anymore. However, being a female DJ of your age range is what makes it interesting. And that's the part that I wonder if it gets annoying, because think about how many male counterparts you have that are in your age range that no one says boo about them DJing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
and they're wearing
true.
size 44 jeans in the club. You know what I'm saying? And no one says anything. And I don't know exactly how old you are, but guessing that is part of the novelty of when people are like, that was the novelty of that video. Was like, who's this lady?
Well, it
Not
wasn't
who's
even
this
that.
kid DJ?
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
this lady?
Yeah.
But it wasn't even that. It was like, who's the teacher?
Right.
Who's the teacher DJing and ripping it to shreds? That's what I saw. I was like, yo,
thank
they
you.
got a teacher at this? Because I thought it was a school. I thought it was like a school lunchtime. I was like, yo, they got a teacher bodying it like that? It's
I used to
crazy.
teach those. So
There you go. There you go. But that's what I wanted to, because I'm sitting here in this interview and look, 1989, right? I was on the radio in 1990. There were tons of white people, women, everybody who loved hip hop. I'm from Northern California.
Right.
It's complete. If you've ever been to Northern California, been to any hip hop party in Northern California, there's loads of everyone. Asian, Mexican, black, white. So it's not that uncommon. So I'm sitting here listening to the interview and I'm like, we're lying. The reason Misbehaviour is up here is because she is she looks like she might be a librarian, and she rips parties to shreds. That's why she's here. Like, you know what I mean?
Does it annoy you though at all that you, like, if you were a man, you get a lot less of like, oh, about like that stuff, or no?
I mean, I think it can go either way. I think the thing is, I know I don't look the part, but I didn't come. I guess I'm not trying to look something. I'm
you're just trying to be.
me.
You're just yourself.
And I think that's also why it's so cool.
Right.
It's cool, and as we all know from coming up in hip hop, the things that have become beloved in hip hop, and I think this is also not discussed, are the things that don't fit quite right into a stereotype. Because there's tons of hip hop that comes in whatever form it comes, whether it's a graffiti artist, and you're like, yo, you do graffiti? Right? You know what I mean? And you would think they're a certain type. Or someone who's got bars, and you're like, you got bars? Like, it's unexpected, and I think that's one of the beauties of hip hop is you don't have to fit.
But DJs themselves, though, I'm guessing, never say boo about it. Like, I feel like real DJs, our whole lives, we expect that everyone around in a DJ circle can be totally different.
Right.
Is that generally your experience?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and I guess years ago everything was less visual as well. And English people were quite scruffy. I mean, we'd kind of DJs would roll up to the club like they just got out of bed.
Right.
Now
But that
we're
used to
all
be
in this
American
world.
DJs too.
Yeah,
We're all
yeah.
in this world now.
When
of
Flex used
sort
to
of-
show up to the tunnel, woo, let me tell you.
Looking like a disaster.
You mentioned earlier that not all DJs were as nice, right?
Right.
And I know that people are still to this day are very critical with female DJs. I know my
Right.
girlfriends that are female DJs are very critical of other female DJs because
Yeah.
they were like, okay, yeah, she's cute, whatever, but can she scratch? Can she mix?
Right, yeah.
How are her transitions?
Yeah.
Extremely critical, more than other men. So talk about, how people embraced you at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, some guys were like, it's no place for a woman, you shouldn't be in the DJ booth. There was very much that. A couple of times not wanting to DJ with me. But then, there's always those sides. There's sides where it makes the struggle a little harder. But then there's often, if there's 4 DJs in a room and you play and you're the only woman, they remember you. So someone looks at, it could be like, well, that dude was playing, but it was like, oh, that woman was playing and there weren't many. So it sort of swings and roundabouts.
There's an advantage to it also.
Yeah.
But I am very critical of women who just have a look and then say, oh, well, I'm a DJ. And
Like
then,
those
and
models
then-
who just, or
right.
the IG model who's on a party or
Well,
whatever.
and they
what-
get paid, they're taking.
That's the hard
taking all
part.
ca-
That must be
Yeah.
the hard part because there are, of course, there are women out there who are amazing DJs.
Yes,
and I know and have
absolutely.
seen lots. However, there are women who are very pretty, didn't have another gimmick, and someone's like, I could just give you Serato and you could get
Yeah,
bookings.
yeah.
And that has
Yeah.
to be irritating
Yeah,
also,
it is,
especially when
yeah.
you've been lugging around
Yeah,
records for 30
yeah,
years.
yeah.
But that also speaks to there is a large segment of popular people who don't know what a good fucking party is.
Yes, you're right.
Let's
you're
be.
right.
That's the issue. And so they get someone who has a large following who doesn't know how to DJ, but it doesn't matter.
Yes,
People are stupid
that's
enough to
absolutely-
show up to a party with a popular person and be like, you going to so-and-so's party? And you're like, no. I mean, me oftentimes, like, no, why? Why would I go to their party? But a lot of people do for their Instagram or to say they were at a place and the DJ is trash. And most of those people, just because they're hanging around having a conversation with popular people, they think they went to a great event.
Yeah.
Or those of us who have been to great events where you're socializing and the music is curated amazingly, you know the difference. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's missing at a lot of events is that
Yeah.
people are put on to use their popularity to promote, not because they're going to put together a great event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's sad, actually.
It happens a lot in fashion, I think, because I did an event, quite a big event, but I was in the smaller room and the main room, the DJ. There was like 500 people in there. And when I'd gone on her site just to check out, it was really about her backstage at a fashion show. But on the other hand, if the client is something like Chanel and you're always at the fashion shows and you're rocking Chanel, like you say, the audience don't really know any different. They're getting
Yeah.
free drinks and
And you
I
just
can
play the
see-
records that are popular. They don't have
Yeah.
to be even put together well.
Exactly. I can see sometimes why they would go down that lane because that person's like down with their brand, I guess.
What do you
know,
think's
so-
What do you think's the best DJ city that you've been to in the world?
London.
Really?
Yeah.
You think the
Yeah.
London DJs are the best?
Yeah.
What makes them good?
Because I think whatever age they are, they always find that what the history is really important. So if you go to certain things in London, like say particularly reggae, because I love dub and I love roots and a lot of that stuff, it's very hard to play that here. But in England, there's so much of a new element of people who get into, and Japan's like that too. They very much want to learn about where did this come from. I'm not saying there aren't people here, but
No, there's a lot.
America's quite a disposable society, isn't
Talk
it?
about
What's
it.
hot? What's
Right.
Look,
It's
if
so
you don't want to
true.
say it because you got an accent, you think, let me say it. America's trash. We're fast food, and we don't appreciate culture. Let's keep it 100.
Right.
There's a large segment of our population here in America that doesn't appreciate the history of things
Yeah.
and doesn't appreciate the value of culture, right? Where if
Yeah.
you go to London, if you've been, you can tell that and Japan,
yeah,
bruh,
yeah.
you have to know history in Japan. You have to know culture in Japan.
No, there's
Absolutely.
a serious
And
appreciation.
there's a huge respect for people who do.
And I would go as far as saying, like, I really think that in a lot of ways, New York's as bad as it gets. In terms of the DJs who are popping, their respect for the craft is so low. Like, when I got here, when I first moved here, I remember being amazed at how few people blend, right? Like, you're always
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
transitions here are yelling for the most part. A lot of mainstream clubs. Obviously, you guys do parties that are for, I mean, real music nerds who like want to go out and party and hear a real party, like really see people DJ. But for the mainstream club, transitions here are yelling. And like, even if you go to the West Coast, even a commercial party where they're playing commercial regular shit, you will hear cutting and blending in a club.
But
Like,
it's
there's a-
weird because we have like DJ Camilo, right? Our very own DJ Camilo. He's learned to use like his yelling and his voice. He blends it all so good together that it doesn't bother you.
But I also
And it
think
doesn't-
He's turned it into a tool.
But it's how people party. You guys are talking about how people party, right? When you go to London, people are dancing.
Yes.
So they're dancing, dancing.
Very good point. So as a
So in
result
a
of
New
that,
York
it's more
club,
important to
to
blend
make
the
sure it all
records
goes
and create a
together.
vibe.
Yes, yes.
Whereas here, if what they're doing is standing next to a bottle, the relevance of yelling and giving shout outs, it means more.
And
'cause that's
the
what people are doing.
records don't need to blend. Just throw on the most popular records, get a response from the crowd, go to the next record. Like you take like a Mr. C and you put him in a strip club, he's gonna DJ one way. You put him in a roller skating party,
Right.
it's
And DJ
Yeah,
another
another
completely
way.
different.
Same with
Yeah.
Flex, right? You put Flex blends if he wants to. We'll get to the house records, we'll get to the disco records, but you put him in, some hood joint where people just want to hear the big records.
Yeah. It's very true.
You got to know your audience, as DJ Misbehaviour pointed out.
But I think you
good
make a
point.
good point about vibe, because if people are dancing, there's an underlying rhythm that's
You
consistent.
have to keep, right.
Whereas when I first came here, I found a lot more DJs were more about you throw on the hit,
Right.
and then whoa, here comes another one.
Just a
And
reaction.
It's almost like the way that we'd play reggae, but with every music.
Every song, right. It never
Well,
stops.
and to your point, a lot of what you have here in New York City came out of reggae culture, right?
Yeah.
From Kool Herc,
Yes,
Hollywood.
exactly.
These are all
Actually,
guys
that's
that have
true. Yeah,
West
yeah,
Indian
yeah,
roots
yeah,
that
yeah.
learned from the sound system and the battles and those things. So that style is
Right.
is more of that than the Frankie Crocker disco blended all together.
You can follow me on Instagram at DJ Misbehaviour. You can follow us at Mobile Mondays. That's probably the easiest way to find me.
All right,
If
well-
you can spell it properly.
How do you spell it?
Misbehaviour. So any Caribbean people will know, because we spell color, the U.
With the O-U-R.
The U.
Right. Well said.
Let's go.